Simon says subscribe and click on the bell icon to receive notifications.
Another thing you can do with your presentation, which can be really useful, is export it out to a different file type. Remember, when you create a presentation, by default, you're going to create a .pptx file. And that just tells File Manager which application it needs to open in order to load up this file. So in this case, PowerPoint. And a .pptx file is the standard file type that we'll use for most of the files that we create. This extension allows us to add new slides, make changes, and run our presentation. But there are other file formats which can be useful. Now, if we jump up to the File tab, notice that we have a section here related to our export options. And we have quite a few different ways that we can export this presentation. Now, the first one here is we could export it to a PDF or an XPS document. Now, if you're wondering what an XPS document is, that's basically Microsoft's version of a PDF file. Now, most of us are used to using PDFs these days. One of the main advantages of a PDF is that it prevents people from easily editing your presentation. And in general, PDFs will preserve the layout, the formatting, the fonts, and the images. So as you see your presentation is exactly how it will look when we export it out to a PDF. So I could jump in here and say I want to create a PDF file. So I'm going to save it into the course files folder. Notice the file extension has changed to PDF, and all we need to do here is click on Publish. Now, this is quite a large presentation in size, so this can take a few seconds. But once it's done, it's going to open up the PDF version of your presentation. So this looks pretty good. We could then maybe decide to email this and feel confident that nobody that we send this to can edit it. One thing to be aware of, though, is if you've spent time applying lots of nice animations and transitions, they're obviously not going to play in a PDF file. Now, another thing we could do is we could create a video from our PowerPoint presentation, and this can look really nice. Now, if we just read the information at the top here, it says export your presentation as a video that you can share with others. And when you do this, it is going to include all recorded timings, narrations, any ink strokes or annotations that you've made, and it will also preserve animations, transitions, and media. So this is essentially going to create a really nice looking video. And we have a few different options here as to how we want to produce this video. So what level of quality do we want, with Ultra HD being the top quality? Now remember, the higher the quality, the larger the file is going to be. So depending on how you intend on sharing this with others, that might influence which one of these you select. And I will say, for this type of thing, you could probably get away with HD here. So this will produce a file that's of medium file size and moderate quality. I find that for a lot of things, this quality is good enough, but this is entirely up to you. You can also then decide what you actually want to include in your video. So if you do have things like recorded timings and maybe narrations, you can choose to record those, or if you want to remove those timings and any narrations and just use the default settings, you can specify that at this stage as well. Now, if I was to choose this first option just here, I could then specify underneath how much time we want to spend on each slide. Once you've set up these settings, just click the Create Video button. Once again, it's going to ask us to save. Note the file extension this time is a .mp4 file. We're going to click on Save, and if you take a look down in my status bar, you can see that it's creating this video. And again, because I've got quite a lot of images and media contained within this presentation, this is probably going to take a few seconds. Once the MP4 has saved, you can then just reopen it and it will run in a video format. Let's jump back up to File because we have a few more export options in here. We could choose to create an animated GIF. Now, I don't think that's particularly appropriate for the kind of presentation that we have, but if you wanted to make an animated GIF, you could do that from here. Again, all you need to do is specify the quality, if you want the background transparent or not, how many slides you want to include in your GIF, and how many seconds to spend on each slide. Now the next option I always think feels just a little bit old school, package presentation for CD. Now in general, I think these days most people would prefer to maybe upload to the cloud so that they can share with others, but this option can be useful if you need to send this presentation to somebody who maybe doesn't have PowerPoint on their PC. So if we click on Package for CD, we can give the CD a name, we select our presentation, and then we can choose Copy to CD. Now obviously this relies on you having a CD drive, either one that's built into your computer or an external CD drive connected. So make sure you have that connected before you click on Copy to CD. So just be aware that you do still have that export option. The next option is to create handouts. And this is going to create handouts in Microsoft Word. So you can see here it says put slides and notes into a Word document. Now one of the advantages of creating handouts in this way is that you then have all of the editing options available in Word, which is more of a text-based application. We can choose the layout of our handout. So do we want 2 slides per page and then the notes next to the slide? Do we just want blank lines next to the slides? So this can be quite helpful to give to your participants because they might want to make their own notes next to each slide. Do we want notes below, blank lines below, or do we just want an outline only? Now I'm going to say blank lines next to slides and click on OK. And then what you end up with is a Word document where you can see the thumbnail of the slide and blank lines down the side. So these can be really nice to give out to your participants so that they can make their own notes throughout the presentation. So a nice little option there. And then the final export option we have is simply to change the file type. And we can see some of the most popular file types you might want to change this to in this area just here. So we could change our file type to a .ppsx file. And this means that when they open this file, it's automatically going to open in slideshow view as opposed to editing view. We could save as an older version of PowerPoint. So if you know that you're sending this to somebody who has a much older version of PowerPoint, you want to make sure it's compatible by saving it as the correct file type. We could save this as a template or even as an image file. So maybe a PNG or a JPG. And all we would do here is select the file type. So I'm going to go for a .ppsx, click on Save As, and then choose a location to save this to. So I'm going to save it to the course files folder. Let's click on Save. So now if I open this file from File Explorer, because this is set to open in slideshow view, we should find that we go straight into the slideshow upon open. And take a look at that. Yes, we do. So we have many ways that we can export this PowerPoint presentation. We're not just stuck with it being a regular .pptx file.
If you're not a subscriber, click down below to subscribe so you get notified about similar videos we upload. To see the full course that this video came from, click over there. And click over there to see more videos from Simon Says It.